research? What are the steps on how you look into a project? Paano mo masasabi na, oh, this is a good project? What's the research behind it?
Meron kasi iba't ibang factors when you evaluate a project like tokenomics, biglaan bang ini-issue yung tokens, maganda ba yung inflation, or is there potential for people who have bought early to dump on you? Majority of the coins have been allocated to venture capitalists. It's really more on utility and syempre narrative. Kita natin yung narrative with Axie, and that may potential talaga siya to change people's lives, especially in the Philippines where the wages are bullshit. Sorry for the profanity, pero that's what it is. These play-to-earn games are giving people the opportunity na magkaroon ng social mobility that cannot be provided by the local economy.
I think since January, sobrang bull market lang, no? So everything is going up, so, and then it crashed. How do you adjust on those environments?
Yeah, some of the hardest pills to swallow was even like seeing it all go down. In hindsight, I didn't make the decision to cut my losses. In hindsight, if I had just like cut a little faster, my portfolio would have been a little higher. I'm holding less coins for now because back then I was just like, oh, hodl everything. Consequence of hodling everything is like you do not keep track of shit. Understanding the cycle, understanding the narrative that's going on because people buy stuff based off of what other people are buying too.
Sometimes you have to test your thesis kasi if you don't test your thesis, you could lose a lot of money. Parang sa accident. Despite the bear market, people are using it because they're depending on it for income. And that's why, while Bitcoin and Ethereum are going sideways, AXS went up. You also need to consider actual utility, but you also have to see people actually using the product. Kulang ang earnings itself. You also need to consider, does the token actually give back some earnings to users? And ano ba yung problem na sinasolve ng project sa space? And dapat actual problem solved. Hindi pwedeng imaginary problem. I think one that I could suggest is try to listen to Twitter. I know Twitter means some people avoid it because it could be noisy at times. If you curate your Twitter just to choose people who only make sense, then you would realize some points that would strengthen your thesis. Kasi unfortunately, crypto wala kasi ang textbook eh. You cannot just pick a textbook unlike in engineering or in the stock market, which has extensive resources. So you have to rely on people's opinions, which sounds sketchy, kasi anyone could make an opinion, but at the same time, if a lot of people have the same opinion, that forms a narrative that could shift the price of some things or could shift the tide of some things. Public opinion is very important in crypto, and you might consider checking it.
Moving on to NFTs, I think both of you naman are very familiar sa NFT. So can you give us a brief background on like what is an NFT and what's the use case na nakikita nyo para sa space na to?
NFT, non-fungible token, di ba? I think maraming na parang nag-isip, pwede din gamitin siya i-represent ng, something like real estate kasi unique item din yung real estate, di ba? May representation sa blockchain.
It attempts to represent ownership in the digital space na parang may perks din of what's physical. Kasi think of NFTs as bragging rights. Like, I supported this person. So I believe Marshmallow created his their own NFT. And that NFT, hindi lang siya collectible. It includes other perks to signal na, oh, I'm a top fan of Marshmallow. So in a sense, parang NFTs are also trying to signal status to people. It would be an esoteric way to achieve status. I mean, sure, people don't understand it now, but imagine if the mainstream people started coming in habang dumadating mainstream people. You could brag it to people, oh, I have this for 5 years. Because it's rare, people will be fighting over it. That's just human nature, that we're just trying to transfer that into the digital world.
I think play to earn naman is here to stay. Problema lang, the games aren't necessarily. Hindi naman siya magandang ginawa. It's not gonna stay. Ganda naman just like in general, the real world, right? Like if you could have games, but kung wala naman kwenta yung game, it's not gonna last. I think play to earn, importante din yung gawa ng ekonomiya. So kung walang kwenta yung tokenomics, wala. What's there to earn, di ba? All in all, like, I think if you know na may community sila and then there's still people buying in, I think that's a sign.
Once people have a taste of what's possible, hahanapin na nila yan. That's just like with the crypto blades phenomenon. And then parang, even my dad, kasi my dad's also, kinikwento ko din yan about crypto projects and stuff. Parang minsan pinabalik niya sa, ano Dragonary something? Or what's this? So it shows then na even if people are also trying to find the next Axie nowadays, kasi syempre they want to be in early and so they could flip, but also kasi they have tasted what's possible with Axie.
Talking about NFT games, so medyo interesting kasi na na-mention niyo na nafo-FOMO na yung mga tao or dumadami na talaga yung mga users nila. Kung ba na-experience ba kayo na ibang tao na nagtatanong sa inyo or how would you guide them if somebody is interested like zero knowledge on NFT games, how would you introduce those kind of platforms to them?
FOMO, 'di ba? Narinig na natin yung parang mga stories na nagbebenta ng motorcycle or tricycle or nag-uutang ng pera para mag-aksi, which is risky. Masana since our loans are like, kailangan mo if kung manghiram ka ng 60,000 for 6 months, kailangan mo parang like 10,000 plus interest sa every month, 'di ba? So, kailangan mo rin like lumabas ng pera within the month. Kung employed ka and you know na mababayad yung utang mo sa salary mo, that's a plan. If you want the money now to go, like, play Axie early, di sige, go lang, di ba? But kung mag-uutang ka tapos wala kang pera and you just wanna play to pay it off, that's very risky. We don't know what happens to SLP from here, di ba? At this point na dahil hindi na gano'n ka-hot to a certain extent kung magfo-FOMO ka pa rin, well, hindi na 'yun yung season na magkakapera ka if you're just breeding floor. A month ago, you could have done that, but this month, wala na.
As Seeshan and Retzter mentioned, very risky. It's important for you to have a plan. Don't go in blindly. Prepare for worst case scenario. So, huwag kayo magkukwit sa trabaho nyo dahil Axie player kayo. So, it's not going up forever. One last question here. How do you see NFT games? Hindi lang Axie So, booming na nga yung NFT games natin sa BSC. How do you see NFT games in general? Like, after 5, 10 years?
I think na at this point, SLP alone, mahirap na siyang bumaba na gano'n ka-grabe as it did in early this year. I don't think aalis yung hype. Sino bang hindi naghahanap ng ibang paraan para magkapera, 'di ba? Or even like, wala, side hustle culture, gano'n. And yung mga side hustles, kailangan ng skills, kailangan ng employer, kailangan ng interviews, gano'n. Parang kailangan mo pa talagang, to make work, 'di ba? It's work na hindi mo kailangan mag-apply to make money. And I think na that's a need. That's a constant need. Kahit bumaba yung presyo, kahit tataas yung presyo from here, right? Been here for, what? I think a year na, no? So yeah, been here for a year. You had people willing to play when it was 4,000 pesos a month. Na yan siguro isang salary na and you still have people willing to play.
Some people judge NFT games by malalaro ba yan pag wala yung kita? But the truth is that you cannot really separate the earning potential of play-to-earn games. It's in the description, it's in the genre itself. As much as Axie's gameplay is admittedly repetitive in some aspects, or it can be boring in some aspects, it is a pioneer in doing something that traditional game companies have not done before, which is giving back some of the value to its players. I mean, imagine spending hours in Genshin Impact. You're just spending a lot of primogems. You have already maxed out your credit cards just to get Ganyu despite getting the same shitty character. And you're not getting anything out of it. Whereas with Axie, you're spending, sabihin natin, if you have a lot of Axies, like 20 Axies to maximize like 60 energy, yung time mo doon, hindi siya sayang. At least masasabi mo na, oh, I did not waste my time playing a game. So that's the concept of NFT games basically. It's rewarding you for your time, rewarding you for participating, tokenized attention.
Sino ba ayaw ng extra income? I think kasi masana na for trading or for shit coins or yield farming. Parang a bit risky din eh. Kailangan mong ibantay. You have to hop out sa tamang moment. But even like side hustle culture, etc., etc., kailangan mo, hindi naman ganun kasimple. Kailangan mo na skill, kailangan mo mag-interview, kailangan mo mag-apply. Tapos pagkatapos mo mag-apply, you have to do the goddamn job. Diba? It's simple and then it's actually decent side income. Who doesn't want that?
So one question here is, ano yung mga current projects na parang nag-pique ng interest nyo, Seeshan and Retzter, other than Axie stuff?
I mean, I think I can name them, right? Illuvium, ano ba ba? Star Atlas. Parang like, I look at the graphics and I'm like, is that the growth? Kasi it can run on a shitty Android phone. Sino mga makakalaro na to, di ba? Crypto Blades or, yung PVU. Ano pa ba, yung Crypto Zone. Accessible yung games na yun. And so it grows very quickly. I think yun yung in-evaluate ko sa mga bagong games.
Hopefully you don't decide your first top of the mind. So para it's a psychology test. Illuvium, please don't FOMO. Please, this is not this is not
Yeah, hindi,
wala.
not financial advice. So we are not shilling any project. Like,
Yeah. And still, you're asking me kung ano yung first thing na papasok sa isip ko eh. So Illuvium siguro, probably because they're shitting on Axie a lot. Ang pangit-pangit naman ng Axie, so we're gonna show them.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just like, dude, stop. Just publish your game already. Like, stop it. You don't look good like this. Talagang panira eh. But with stuff na parang like, can you play it? Can you get other people to play it? And how do you even like buy in? Diba? Paano mo magsimula sa game? Because technically sa Axie, yeah, you need 3 Axies to start. And mahal nga, but to a certain extent, mahal siya dahil the cost to make the Axie is mahal. Diba? SLP now, again, beginning of the year, top 1,000 token lang yan. Ngayon, it's enough for a decent wage. And I think you cannot have one without the other, diba? You can't have good play to earn rewards without expensive Axies to a certain extent. Kasi, yun, yung kailangan para gumawa ng Axies. One good rule of thumb is like parang check with your friends or be like, type mo ba? Or kung hindi, bakit? That's always a good. Ember Sword, I think, is one na parang nakita lang lahat ng friends ko and immediately were like, yes, I want that. I want to play that.
Nasa volatile markets ang pagyaman, at least in my opinion. Now, of course, syempre, you adjust accordingly. If you're feeding a family, please don't gamble your son or daughter's tuition. Please don't do that. Pero if, you have some spare money because you have the freedom, why not?
Crypto is volatile, pero the price swings is it makes you money. And I think na parang may nagsabi sa akin, I want to stick to how the old people got rich. And I'm like, if I stick to how the old people got rich, paano ako mayayaman, diba? Like, mayaman na nga sila eh. They're just probably gonna give more money to their hands or to their... And as I was saying, diba, how are you gonna get rich na parang even like everything to get rich, kailangan mo ng pera. Kailangan mo ng pera para gumawa ng business. Kailangan mo ng pera para bumili ng real estate. Crypto is probably the best risk reward out there right now.
yep, I agree with that. So as Retzter mentioned, no, crypto provides us asymmetric risk reward. You can start with a small capital, but the earning potential
Right,
there is great, right?
You can like either lose 100% of all your capital, but your upside can like hit. I've hit like 1,000% runs when I was like starting with small capital, and that was a big boost in my portfolio for going forward, diba?
So yeah, thank you so much for your insights, Seeshan and Retzter. This was seriously helpful for a lot of viewers, especially for newbies here in the crypto space. First off, I would just like to congratulate everyone for funding 10 kids in Tapulanga. You all gave those kids a bright future. If you have any charity drive suggestions, drop it at our charity suggestion channel.
Thank you everyone who attended this and listened to the podcast. I hope na may natutunan kayo. And again, this would be uploaded in our social media accounts. So, pwede nyo i-share, pwede nyo panoorin ulit.